Multimodal learning, MML, has gained significant interest as it compensates for single-modality limitations through comprehensive complementary information within multimodal data. However, traditional MML methods generally use the joint learning framework with a uniform learning objective, leading to the modality competition issue. In response to this challenge, this paper introduces detached and interactive multimodal learning, DIMML, a novel detached MML framework designed to learn complementary information across modalities while avoiding modality competition. DIMML addresses competition by separately training each modality encoder with isolated learning objectives, encouraging cross-modal interaction via a shared classifier that defines a common feature space. The framework employs a dimension-decoupled unidirectional contrastive (DUC) loss to facilitate modality-level knowledge transfer. Additionally, a certainty-aware logit weighting strategy is devised to effectively leverage complementary information at the instance level during inference. The paper highlights the limitations of traditional MML methods, which use a joint training framework and a uniform learning objective, leading to modality competition. This competition issue results in the dominant modality hindering the learning of other weak modalities, limiting the full potential of others. The authors argue that eliminating modality competition is more critical for multimodal learning and propose a novel detached learning process via assigning each modality with isolated learning objectives. The proposed DIMML framework consists of two key components: a shared classifier to regulate a shared feature space and a DUC loss to enable sufficient cross-modal interactions. The DUC loss encourages the transfer of modality-level complementary knowledge, and the certainty-aware logit weighting strategy utilizes instance-level complementarities during inference. Extensive experiments conducted on audiovisual, flow image, and front-rear view datasets show the superior performance of the proposed method. The authors contribute to the field of MML by proposing a novel detached framework that trains each modality with isolated learning objectives, ensuring complementary cross-modal interactions. The proposed DIMML framework is the first to completely avoid modality competition while ensuring sufficient cross-modal interactions in MML. The paper discusses the issue of modality competition in multimodal learning, which hinders the performance improvement of multimodal models. It proposes a novel method called detached and interactive multimodal learning, DIMML, to eliminate competition and enhance interactions between modalities. The DIMML approach involves detached unimodel training for each encoder to avoid modality competition and uses a shared linear classifier to regulate consistent feature spaces. Additionally, it introduces a dimension-decoupled unidirectional contrastive (DUC) loss to transfer modality-level complementarities and exploit the complementary information effectively. The proposed method is evaluated on various datasets and shows consistent improvement in both multi- and unimodal accuracy. The proposed detached and interactive multimodal learning (DIMML) framework addresses the modality competition issue in multimodal learning. During inference, logit weighting is utilized on an instance level, where the effective and ineffective dimensions of each modality are separated. The ineffective dimensions of one modality are transferred to the corresponding effective dimensions of another modality, and vice versa, through the proposed DUC loss. This loss enables the cross-modal transfer of complementary knowledge, enhancing the dimensions with less informative knowledge while retaining effective information unique to the current modality. Unlike traditional contrastive loss, which aligns all dimensions bidirectionally, the DUC loss is soft, performing on part of the dimensions and only transferring complementarities. The certainty-aware logit weighting strategy is proposed during inference to utilize instance-level complementarities comprehensively. The final output is calculated by weighting the outputs of each modality based on their reliability. Experimental results on 4 multimodal datasets, CREMAD, Avenue, UCF 101, and ModelNet 40, demonstrate the effectiveness of DIMML. The comparative analysis with other methods shows that DIMML outperforms the state-of-the-art methods, achieving the best multimodal performance and unimodal accuracy. An ablation study is also conducted to evaluate the contribution of each component in DIMML. The experimental settings and details about the datasets are provided. including the use of ResNet 18 as the backbone encoder network, data augmentation, and training parameters. The results suggest that DIMML is a promising approach for multimodal learning, addressing the modality competition issue and achieving better performance than existing methods. The paper proposes a novel multimodal learning framework, detached and interactive multimodal learning, DIMML, which addresses the modality competition problem in joint training. The authors argue that this problem arises from the uniform learning objective for different modalities, leading to suboptimal performance. To overcome this, DIMML trains multimodal encoders separately, avoiding modality competition, and facilitates feature space alignment and cross-modal interaction through a shared classifier and dimension-decoupled unidirectional contrastive loss, DUC. The authors demonstrate the effectiveness of DIMML through extensive experiments on 4 datasets, showcasing improved multimodal and unimodal performance compared to existing methods. They also perform an ablation study to explore the influence of various components, including the 2-stage training scheme, shared classifier, DUC loss, and logit weighting. The results indicate that each component is essential for achieving optimal performance. Furthermore, the authors analyze the dimension separation scheme, which divides dimensions into effective and ineffective parts. They evaluate the performance of effective and ineffective dimension sets, demonstrating that the effective dimensions are more informative and contribute to better performance. They also compare their dimension-wise prediction method with L2 norm and Shapley value, showing that it outperforms these methods in evaluating the effectiveness of each dimension. Additionally, the authors investigate the robustness of DIMML to hyperparameters, batch size, and dimension-wise evaluation methods. They find that the performance of DIMML is marginally affected by hyperparameters and batch size, and that their dimension-wise prediction method is robust and effective. Overall, the paper presents a novel and effective multimodal learning framework that addresses the modality competition problem and achieves state-of-the-art performance on various datasets. The proposed DIMML framework has the potential to promote further research in multimodal learning and applications. The paper discusses the concept of detached and interactive multimodal learning, which is a new approach to understanding the interactions between different modalities in a learning system. This method aims to improve the performance of multimodal tasks by analyzing the interactions between modalities and identifying the most informative dimensions for each modality. The authors conducted several experiments to evaluate the effectiveness of this approach. They used a dataset called CREMA-D, which contains emotional multimodal actors' videos, and applied various multimodal learning models to classify emotions based on audio, video, and text modalities. The results showed that the detached and interactive multimodal learning model outperformed other models in terms of accuracy and robustness. The authors also explored the use of cross-modal interactions and identified specific semantics in each dimension to further evaluate the informative dimensions. They found that certain dimensions were more informative than others and that focusing on these dimensions could improve the performance of the multimodal learning model. In addition, the authors discussed the limitations of their approach and suggested future work, such as investigating other types of cross-modal interactions and focusing on multimodal tasks like detection or generation instead of classification. They also noted that identifying the specific semantics in each dimension may be helpful to further evaluate the informative dimensions. Overall, the paper presents a new approach to multimodal learning that emphasizes the importance of understanding interactions between different modalities and identifying the most informative dimensions for each modality. The authors demonstrated the effectiveness of this approach through experiments and discussed potential future directions for further research. Detached and Interactive Multimodal Learning 24, October 28 – November 1, 2024, Melbourne, Victoria, Australia. A. Datasets. The paper discusses several datasets used for emotion recognition, audio-visual event localization, action recognition, and 3D object classification. These datasets include CREMAD, Avenue, UCF 101, ModelNet 40, and CMUMOSI. Each dataset is described in detail, providing information on the types of data, number of samples, and their use in the experiments. B. Baselines. The paper compares the proposed method with 8 multimodal baselines, Joint Training, MSES, MSLR, OGMGE, PMR, UMT, MMCLF, and PREDS-AVG. Each baseline is briefly described, highlighting its key features and how it differs from the proposed method. C. Training Scheme. The training scheme for the proposed method is outlined in detail, including the use of unimodel training for warm-up epochs, followed by the application of the shared classifier and duck loss for the remaining encoder training epochs. The fusion module is trained separately after the encoders are fixed. D. Additional results. The paper provides additional results on a text-image audio dataset, specifically the CMUMOSI dataset. The proposed method is compared with a new baseline, I2MCL, and achieves the best results. Furthermore, the effectiveness of the proposed method is verified using different model structures, such as ResNet 18 and PointNet for image and point cloud data of model Net 40 for classification.